Most people think herbalists can't make real money, that we're supposed to struggle and give everything away for free. But that is not the truth. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how herbalists can build businesses that are sustainable, profitable, and deeply impactful. We'll talk about why so many healers undervalue themselves, how to shift from charging for your time to charging for your expertise, and why you have to go beyond a simple living wage if you want to thrive. This conversation isn't just theory, it's practical strategies, hard-earned lessons, and mindset shifts that can help you hit six figures and beyond. So if you've ever wondered, is it even possible to make 100K or more as an herbalist, let's dive in. Can we actually make more than 100K in this work? Yes, you can make more than $100,000 as an herbalist. We're gonna start with this question. Why do herbalists struggle so much with even the idea of making, not even making more money, but like making enough money to live, when health and your ability to take care of yourself, those are intertwined. So we do not feel well when we are struggling for bills, if we're gonna be able to give our kids or our community the kind of resources in the childhoods that they want. Nobody feels good being broke. That mindset is really prevalent in our work and in our industry, where people feel guilty, they feel ashamed, they feel bad about charging for their expertise.
I think that's the disconnect, and understanding that this is an expertise. A lot of times we think back to our ancestors and say, this was passed down. And
true.
But you also have to understand the time and space in which you're living in now. It really hits differently when this is how you support yourself and your family. It's a very personal question, and people have to figure out what that is for them and move in a direction that gets them there.
Some of what you're saying too is, do I just want to do this as service, hobby, or do I want this to be a business that sustains me? There's a big difference and a big shift, and that does relate to how you charge, if you charge, and your boundaries around how you do this work.
We have that conversation all the time in our business classes in Herbal Medicine for the Soul. Let's be clear, this is a business. Just because you are in the business of helping people doesn't mean that it's not a business. I can't show up in the manner that I want to show up to help you if I'm stressed about paying my mortgage, about paying my rent.
Think of it that you're filling a gap for people in them understanding how to take care of themselves. And as someone who studies that and devotes your time, your attention, your own investment into the work, into that, that's what you need to be compensated for.
Let's also realize that it is a lot of time and energy put into learning this work, but also let's realize that a lot of people don't know. I think sometimes, I know with you specifically, you hit a certain point in your learning, like everyone knows this, and they don't. You have hit a point in which you are charging for your knowledge. Don't pay me for my time, you pay me for my knowledge.
How much I've invested into this work, my commitment and my dedication to the work. And it's the same with a car. You're paying for the engineering of that vehicle that you don't know how to do. Like, you don't know how to make your own car. People who make cars are not feeling guilty about charging you $100,000 for a car. You should not feel guilty about charging what you desire and deserve.
You might show up and do an hour talk and charge $1,000. And someone would be like, oh my gosh. And it's like, do you know how many hours went in to be able to have a conversation around this? A conversation, not just me talking at you, but a conversation so that this actually lands with you, so that this knowledge actually does
what it's supposed to do. Inspire people to change.
It takes a grand amount of effort and time in order to perfect that skill of being able to take a very complex topic, break it down, and then return it back so that people understand it in the simplest of forms.
And can take action on it. People don't take action on things that they're still confused about.
Right.
And I think one gap that we really do feel thinking about herbalists is like that 15-minute appointment with the doctor's office. People are not getting all of their questions answered. They might leave with a diagnosis, but they're not leaving with the understanding of how that developed, what's making it worse, what can make it better, what are my options outside of the medical paradigm.
But who bridges that gap? Herbalists bridge that gap.
We operate in the gray as not, medically licensed in the United States, but we're the ones that bridge that gap so that people feel like they can confidently embark on a holistic healing path or a combination. Like, I'm a both and kind of person. You have to understand the value that we serve in care. And that has to be charged for, because we got to understand that model. We have to understand our own. We have to understand the plants. We have to understand the body. We have to be able to bridge the gap for people so that they trust in their body's ability to heal again. And that's huge. Like, health is one of the things that people feel the most stressed about. Up there with money, there with relationships, and up there with purpose, fulfillment. Herbalism fills the gaps of every area.
It is a deep conversation, but it's to also drive the point home as to why you must charge beyond a living wage, because you are hearing about someone's whole life, and you are supporting them the best way you can in all these different areas of their life. It can be extremely draining if you don't have good boundaries and if you can't separate, but you learn quite quickly why you have to start charging beyond a living wage once you start doing the work.
Struggling with a health issue that just won't budge. You want a holistic path. You're even thinking about becoming an herbalist, but you need real guidance. Let's talk. Book a free call with me and we'll figure out your next right step, whether it's a private consultation or one of my signature programs like Herbal Medicine for the Soul. So if you are ready to feel better and live on purpose, click the link and schedule your free call today. Let's get you aligned and moving forward.
You're not charging enough is if you're feeling resentful, but you're feeling kind of like, why am I doing that?
Yeah, I guess that is a good kind of ping where you start to feel a frustration that the energy exchange isn't even. And that's a good signal to start paying attention to. And only you know that. And here's the part of that conversation is that you're ultimately getting into other people's pockets. And none of that is any of
your business.
And what you charge has to be based on your own investment, your time, your commitment, your value, what you bring to the table, the gap that you're fulfilling for people. And I think the longer you're in this work, it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that I actually do know from experience how much herbalism saves people's marriages. It's not just about health. It saves people's marriages, saves people's relationship with their kids, saves people financially.
People feel some sort of way about charging beyond a living wage.
Yeah.
Go beyond a living wage, because it is an astronomical amount of work. Entrepreneur. That does not mean that it is not fulfilling. That does not mean if it's your calling that you shouldn't do it. It will stretch and pull you in ways you could never imagine. Making money is great. That's the exchange. That's what you need to keep going forward. But when you talk about really feeding your soul, nothing feels better than being able to reach back and being like, I've been there. I understand, and being able to bring someone forward. But you don't get to do that if you're in the mud yourself. Get some momentum going for yourself before you can reach back. I think a lot of times we're trying to reach back too soon. Right? Too soon before we even have our footing. Instead, you know what? I'm gonna be selfish and really focus on learning my business. And when I get to a certain point, then it will be a natural reaching of helping people. And I think sometimes we want to manufacture that reaching too early. And it's at the detriment of ourselves and our business.
Yeah, we had a coach tell us this years ago when we were starting and just doing the body care, where we wanted to build it in a way where it's like, we're trying to build our manufacturing business and having built in it this kind of give back model. And they were saying exactly what we're saying now, where it's like, well, you have to build it to a certain level and then you can do all of those things. So it's not abandoning that desire to give access to things to more people, to help others, but there's the foundation that you have to build first and know you have to test it, you have to prove it, you have to make sure it's stable, and then you can build in that you give back.
It's not done in tandem. You don't build your foundation and your roof at the same time.